Hi everybody, it's Litsoc. Can you believe it? We are at the end of the half term. Welcome everybody, our viewers from elsewhere. This afternoon we're going to be looking at psychological thrillers. We have a collection on the table already, such as Gone Girl and Cormac McCarthy, No Country for Old Men. Okay, is that yours?
Yeah.
Choice. All right.
Well,
we also have Bananagrams and Scrabble, which the person who's taking the session, Annabelle, will explain to us. Don't forget, everybody, that we'll be coming back and looking at what we've been reading over the holiday. 2 weeks you've got, so we're expecting great things. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Annabelle. Thank you very much. Silence. Wow.
Yeah, they're riveted already. Look at that.
So I'm going to be talking about psychological thrillers today, and I thought I'd just explain what one is if anyone doesn't know. And so it's basically like a crime thriller novel, but there doesn't have to be a dead body. That's how I think I like explaining it to people. That's how I got explained it as well.
Does it include ghosts?
Sometimes.
Who explained that to you? Just out of interest.
My mum.
Your mum. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Mrs.
Well,
Gladstone.
So it's a thriller novel, but it doesn't have to have a dead body, and it can revolve around your worst fears.
All right. So, what's your favourite psychological thriller then?
So
far?
Well, I've read quite popular ones, to be honest.
It doesn't matter.
Like I've read the Girl in Pieces trilogy, the Holly Jackson books, but I've also read other ones, like really unpopular ones.
Unpopular ones.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of most of them.
Okay.
But one of them was I don't think I've read the whole thing, but it was called The Other Sister.
Anybody read that? The Other Sister?
And it was really good actually, because it was really like page turning. And they're always quite gripping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they should be, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Thriller, yes.
And I think they mainly started with the book Rebecca. I think that was one of the first ones to be released.
I think you might find that this one's first.
Yeah, but
because that's what Rebecca's based on.
Yeah, but like that kind of thing, you know. And then, but it's quite popular now, and I think S.J. Watson with Before I Go to Sleep kind of made it popular in recent years, because I think the book was released in 2013, Before I Go to Sleep.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I feel like from there they've just been growing and growing in popularity.
I think more so for your age group, for very aged adults, they've been popular for quite a while.
Yeah.
But I agree, Rebecca was an absolute bestseller before the Second World War. Yes, yeah.
And then so should I say what I'm going to?
What are you going to do with this afternoon? What do you want us to do?
What's the plan?
Are we talking about books that we've enjoyed along this theme, or are we doing something else?
So you can talk about. I think for the first bit, I'm going to let people talk about books for like a little bit, and then I'm going to do like a Scrabble Bananagrams thing where it's themed.
Okay.
So you can.
Shall we have a chat about our books first?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. You're going to go first with your favourite, or have you already contributed that?
I'll talk about The Other Sister.
Okay.
So it's a book, and it's a bit like you don't know what's going to happen next, like really like that, and it's like there's a big plot twist in it, and so it's about this woman goes away.
Is it first person narration or is it third person?
It's
narration?
first person.
Okay, and who's the narrator?
The lady who goes away. So she goes away and leaves her kids with her sister and her husband. She gets a phone call saying that they're in like in a dangerous situation, and so she comes home and no one can remember what happens, but the husband is dead, and then is that the plot twist? And then she gets a letter from her door saying like I got the wrong sister. So,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
it spawns from there, and it's about her journey living like that, and like after what happened.
And sort of unravelling what's going on with that letter and what
Yeah,
the
and because
other sister's done, or...
the sister forgets her memory, but gradually gets it back.
Oh, that sounds a bit like Before I Go to Sleep.
It does, yeah.
A little bit.
So,
Okay.
she tries to piece everything together to find out what really happened.
Right.
Oh, it sounds like that film Memento Mori, which is told backwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was just a...
Older people, have you seen Memento Mori? This is a really dark. Well, it's not dark essentially, but it's very, very clever.
Yeah.
Where it's told backwards, and it's also the main character, the protagonist. It's a very unreliable narrator.
You have to pay attention as well because
Yeah,
of
you really have to pay attention. Yeah.
And it's not that old. It's
No.
probably 20 years or
It's certainly
15,
the
20 years.
21st century,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce is the main character.
Guy Pearce, yeah.
And
yeah, really worth checking out. Yeah.
it's very clever. But yeah, like I say,
very
you have to pay
clever.
attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember who wrote it now.
Well, I was directed by Christopher Nolan, who
right,
is, of
okay.
course, has gone on to make lots of our favourite blockbusters like the Dark Knight trilogy, plus Interstellar, Oppenheimer.
Inception.
Sorry? Inception, yep, absolutely. So yeah, it's I think it might be his debut film. So
Do a
there's
whole
a,
Litsoc on Christopher Nolan. Anyway.
sounds like it, doesn't it? Okay.
So, does anyone else want to speak
Right,
about?
who else wants to go?
I was going to ask a bit more about Before I Go to Sleep, seeing as you said it's what
Yeah.
sort of kick-started the renaissance in it. So
Yeah.
tell us a bit about it, because I'm sure most people here don't know about it, and tell us what you like about it, and so on.
So it's a psychological thriller where I think at the start the lady wakes up and she doesn't remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of pieces together what's happening. She tries to figure out where she is and like what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And then,
Is this
how does it unravel? How does it unfold, the story?
Well, I kind of forgot.
Okay, right, so what happens is, of course, she doesn't know what's going on, and she's not sure she can trust her husband. And she's
Yeah.
and basically, it's every time she goes to sleep, essentially, it's almost like she gets her memory wiped.
Yeah.
That's why the title is Before I Go to Sleep.
So
and it was a
she
big
pieces-
sensation when it
Yeah,
first
so
came
she
out.
pieces together different things of her memories, and she's trying to keep finding out who these people are, if she can trust them or not, stuff like that.
Sounds like Agatha Christie's Nemesis to me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Possibly influenced by Agatha Christie, of course, the great Agatha Christie. So yeah, and it was a big
like
success.
that.
It was a big success. It was.
It's worth
Yeah.
reading Nemesis. It's a Miss Marple. It's very clever.
I think most Agatha Christie's are. But Before I Go to Sleep, yeah, it was a big success. Everyone was talking about it when it first came out.
If
So
the person just didn't go to sleep, would they just like keep their memory? Whereas like if they like just didn't go to sleep.
well,
for,
when
like,
you go
half
to
a day-
sleep, I hope when you wake up the next morning, you remember what happened in your life before. This woman doesn't.
But if she like for like I don't know like a couple of days just didn't sleep, would like throughout that time
She'd
would
go
she keep
insane.
her memory or like or like over one or like is it like at a certain point then she would just like be like, oh, where am I, like, but she'd still be awake.
Are you saying that if she forces herself not to sleep, she'll keep her memory?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But as Miss Henley says, you can't do that. That's unsustainable. We all need sleep, right? Eventually, you go insane. So
There is a book where, isn't there, where somebody there's a time reset every midnight or something. What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I think I've heard of that.
There's like a movie that does that as well, where, like with the Miss Peregrine's, they have a loop in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, but there's also a movie about it that's like that came out like a while ago about something resetting, or like nobody knowing what happened the day before. Like I've seen like the little trailers of it.
Oh wait,
Right.
the one that's
I
like
can't remember.
yesterday and like they
Yeah.
took out the Beatles.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't consider that a psychological thriller. Yes, yesterday, the Beatles
Oh my god,
movie.
I love that
yes.
movie.
It's a great. I love it too. But
Oh, my dad.
it's a clever idea. I'm not sure it's a thriller, but it is fun. I do enjoy it, especially if you like the Beatles, which we all do.
Yeah, I saw the trailers for that.
Oh, my dad said my dad watched like a movie where someone like dies at the end of the day and like their memory gets reset, but like I haven't.
I'm sorry, it's Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
What, the movie?
You've seen
That's Fall
Groundhog Day?
Guy.
I haven't
And he
watched
doesn't
it.
die at the end of it.
But that's Fall Guy.
Not every
isn't
day,
it?
at least.
Groundhog Day.
You must have seen
That's
Groundhog Day,
Fall
right?
Guy.
It's a classic. Bill Murray,
Real
I don't know
classic.
what you're talking. I haven't watched it.
brilliant
No,
film.
Free Guy.
Oh no,
Wait,
that's
no.
different.
There is another
That's
one
different,
with
but-
Tom Cruise more recently, a sci-fi one where he gets killed over and over again. You know the one I mean. You know the one
The
I mean.
free
I can't remember what
guy,
it's called.
the sci-fi one, where ever he
can't remember what
gets
it's
killed
called.
because he's an MP3. Every time he gets killed,
No,
he just
that's-
wakes
No,
up.
no, no. I'm thinking of a Tom Cruise one. I can't remember what it's called.
Acting a film movie, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a sci-fi. Anyway, look, we're digressing here.
Anyway, digressing.
So look, Annabelle mentioned quite a few titles that I'm sure most of you will have read at the top
I have
there.
more books to talk about but I was just not doing the popular ones because I thought other people would talk about them. Does anyone else want to talk about books?
About the popular ones,
Yeah.
maybe,
I
yeah.
can talk about one, but it's like a double narrative. So only one of the sides of the narrative is actually in the psychological thriller style.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to come and sit in there?
No, it's fine. She's leading it, so I don't see why she should move.
No.
No. This is what we normally do. If you we sort of like to bit of musical chairs.
That's fine. Okay.
This is how we do it.
Well, it's called like Black Queen, and there was this girl who was killed, and everyone thinks this more popular girl, Avery. Oh, and the reason it's called Black Queen is because the school they go to is like it's very apartheid, even though it's in modern day. So like the black kids will stick with the black kids, and the white kids will stick with the white kids. And Avery is very popular among all the white kids and is known for being racist. And when one of the more popular girls in the black community is killed, everyone thinks it was Avery. And she knows she hasn't done it. She has an alibi and everything. But as people go into it more and her social media starts getting like spammed with all the messages, she wakes up one day and thinks, I did it.
Okay.
I think then she goes to like prison, and because she said they murdered, and then another day it's almost like she wakes up with her teenage mind and she said, no, I didn't do it, but I saw who did. And it's a bit
Okay.
like that. So, but in the end, that person is taken to trial. They have a actual solid alibi because they were the girl that was killed friends. So it's kind of all built out of like who did it, and then she keeps on thinking, did I do it? And she doesn't know anymore. So she's like, and then she kills herself. Yeah.
Dark. Is it historical by any chance? Because you mentioned the segregation.
I'm actually not sure because they have things like iPhones in it.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a dystopia.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Where is it set? Do you know that by any chance?
I think it's in like Alabama or
Ah,
something.
yeah. That's it.
It's in America, definitely.
Okay. So would you recommend it?
Yes. I got it in the airport when I was going on holiday, and then, yeah, I read it on the plane.
In one go.
Yeah.
There you go. The classic airport novel.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your day.
Was it Oblivion?
Oblivion.
Right,
Maybe.
Tom Cruise movie.
Maybe. I honestly, Josie might know. Josie, can you remember
Josie?
by any
Tom
chance
Cruise
the Tom Cruise movie
Oblivion?
where he dies over and over again?
I just looked it up.
Uh-huh.
It's Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, Edge of Tomorrow.
That's the
right,
one.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Do you want to say something, Hannah?
Wait, can I do that?
Yeah, of course you can.
So I'm going to talk about Gone Girl. It's over there.
Yeah.
And I normally don't read thrillers, but I listened to it, and even though the narrator wasn't very good, it was such an interesting experience.
You mean the person who was reading it?
Yeah, I don't know why they chose them. But I guess maybe it was because the main character is so annoying, so they had to choose an annoying voice. So the most interesting thing about this book isn't like the whole thriller psychological thing. It's actually what I found is like the reaction of the media that it really goes into, and this kind of like gossipy world of newspapers, magazines, social media, especially TV, that the public kind of sort of have this like sick enjoyment of the tragedy that they believe these people are going through. So basically the plot is this man, his wife goes missing one day, and everybody suspects him of killing her, and we have his narration saying, I didn't do it, it looks like somebody's framing me, all these sorts of things. And then you hear bits of the wife's diary, and it's kind of confusing how it all fits in, and there's this trail of clues he's trying to follow, and gradually his dark past is getting revealed. And it's more about just kind of the sick, like, intense relationship with these two people and how both of them are pretty messed up but rely on each other. But that's all boring, like...
That's not boring.
Okay.
Far from it.
Selling this.
No, that's what I'm saying. If that's boring compared to all the stuff about, like, the dodgy lawyers and how they go on these TV shows and it's all planned out in advance, and he has to make himself cry and think of what he has to say, and it's just hearing that from somebody's point of view, that how like strategic and planned it is to come up with this emotional content because people enjoy it, and sort of how erratic the public response is to him, and how they go from hating him and blaming him for the murder of his wife to finding him as a sympathetic character, and somewhere along the lines all the truth is getting mixed up, and as your reader's going like, what's going on? And even when you figure it out, there's no satisfaction because like of how like messed up the situation is, and the writing style is terrible, but the plot is really good. So yeah,
interesting review this, but yeah, you've gone into the psychology actually of various parts of the plot.
Was Ben Affleck?
Yeah, Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike were and there's a big twist halfway through. For those of us who like thrillers, which Hannah,
it wasn't really a twist because it's.
I would say it is.
Well, you mean you got the hint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's well hinted enough that you can guess it, which is nice. I hate those like murder mystery books where there's no way you could have guessed it. Like, by the way, they were related all along. Like, oh. I don't know.
I'm getting a sense this is not your favourite genre, but
but
okay.
I'm saying it has redeeming qualities, and also if you like that sort of thing, it's very good at that. But yeah, and the dialogue's a bit dry. But other than that.
Like, she did say she's not trying to sell it, to be fair. And also, another thing we'll say about this is, you know how Before I Go to Sleep was a big sensation, so was this, when this came out. Yeah. Arguably bigger than Before I Go to Sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a movie now?
Yeah, as Miss Huntley said, Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the movie's quite
that
good.
was a huge movie too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you.
Because the other equivalent, of course, is Gone on a Girl on a Train, isn't it?
Yeah, that's also made into a movie with Emily Blunt, I think.
Emily Blunt,
yeah. So there you go.
Right.
I suppose I could have got that down. That's up there
Okay,
somewhere.
who's next?
Paula
Anybody
Hawkins.
coming in?
So we can talk about the more popular ones, as Annabelle mentioned at the top, if that's okay. Yes. So we Good Girls Guide to Murder, One of Us is Lying, and so on. I know that some of you have read those.
But I've read like half of How to Make Friends with the Dark.
Why
Yes.
do you know the
I've read
bit's the
the
best?
Girl Missing one.
Oh, Girl Met Sophie Mackenzie. Yes, you have. Anyone else read Sophie Mackenzie, by any chance?
Oh, I think I read it like a while ago.
Okay. Do you either you want to, or both of you want to talk about it?
I'll talk about the first half of.
Come on then.
Come on, let's do it.
the book.
Let's do it, yeah.
Okay, because I read that one more
Why you
recently.
didn't finish it?
I
Yeah.
think it's because it's really sad and my cat died, so I got sad.
Oh,
you know. Okay. So it
so it's
starts.
really sad even at the beginning? Or even
Yeah.
at
No,
the
no.
Oh, this author, yeah.
No, it gets
That's what she
sad.
does.
Like I got like halfway. I got pretty far through. I got to the bit where her sister comes along.
Oh.
Yeah. What?
Sorry, I just
Have
really
you only
read
read
half
this
of it as well, Annabelle.
I've only read You'd Be Home Now by her. So okay, basically it starts with like a girl and her mum. It's just them two, and they're quite poor, and she has and she's best friends with, I can't remember, the girl's name is called Tiger, but I can't remember her.
US or
Cake.
UK?
America or Britain? I think it's America, but I could be wrong.
I think it's America too,
It
but
is America.
I know it is because they talk about the adoption like system, and it's like
Okay.
I think it's somewhere beginning with A. Anyway, and basically she wait, what's her? Oh yeah, her friend's called Cake and she's called Tiger, but she's called Tiger because she bit someone. And basically
Nice.
one day she like goes to school and she like got in a big fight with her mum about like this dress her mum bought for her for this dance she wanted to go to. And then she gets like and then her mum's calling her like throughout the day, but she like hangs up or like doesn't listen to her. And then when she finally picks up, she still carries on fighting with her. But then she's I can't remember, she's like hanging out with her friend or something after school, and then her friend gets a call from the hospital saying that her mum got a brain aneurysm that burst and she died, and she's like, and she's got like no parents because her dad's like gone, her dad left, and she's like left with no siblings, no parents, and only like her best friend, and this like dress that her mum wanted her to like bought for her because she thought she'd love it, and then she was too busy arguing with her to like notice what it like her mum had done for her, and she wears like the dress throughout most of the book. I think, at least the point that I got to, which
Yeah,
was like
she wears it the whole
halfway through, she was still wearing the dress because it was like reminded her of like the reason she was arguing with her mum, I guess. And and she goes like joins like the goes through like foster care, and then she finds out that she has an estranged sister.
Oh, okay.
Because her dad, I think her dad's like in jail or something. I'm not entirely sure, can't remember. But her dad was like in jail or something. But she has a sister who lives like in Hawaii. But her sister's only a couple of years older than her, and so like her sister comes to like live with her, and they like. At the point where I was at, it was really sad because like her sister was just like living with her, and she was still really sad because they were like having to live in the house with like where her mum like I think where her mum probably died, and then and it was really sad, and so I stopped reading it.
I mean,
Why is this a...
I'm not sure, but it was on the table.
well, the reason I put this out is because Annabelle told me she was going to talk about Girl in Pieces. Yeah, which is a
I
book.
started reading that, but I also stopped.
It is. She's hugely popular, and they are very sad. Her books. That's what she does. But they.
So
I mean, I haven't actually read any of them.
Manipulation of the reader, then.
I started reading all three of them at the same time, but I stopped reading this one and Girl in Pieces, but I carried on reading the other one.
What's the other one called?
You'd Be Home Now. It's
What?
like You'd Be Home Now.
You'd Be at Home Now. Okay.
It's like about a girl, and like she's basically like the middle child, I think, and she's kind of like forgotten by everyone. Her sister's really like her older sister's really talented. Oh wait, no, she's probably the younger one, and she's just kind of like there because her brother also had like a drug addiction, so her parents like super concerned about him, and they're like, and then the older child like super perfect, and so she kind of like she steals and stuff because she like wants to like show that she's not completely perfect, and yeah.
All types of books are available in Surbiton High School Library.
Yeah.
Please don't see them as role models, however.
Anyway, that's all I can remember about it.
All right, then.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. Thank you very much.
Right, does anyone else?
Anybody else? No?
Is that yes, Esther? Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to talk about this one.
Yeah.
I think it was
So it's
at
Girl Missing by
Sophie Mackenzie.
Sophie Mackenzie, very popular author. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was actually Phoebe's book, but she never read it, so I read it. But it's about the main character's called Lauren, and she's adopted, and basically it's a story of her like trying to find her biological parents, because her adoptive parents were really struggled to have like biological children, and then so they adopted first, and then they actually had a son afterwards, who was their biological child. So I think that's sort of like what like she feels like inadequate. So she sort of goes on this journey with her, I think it's her best friend, to find her biological parents. And I think the interesting thing about it is like your blood more important, or is like who raised you more important?
Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes. It's from what I remember. She goes quite all over the world, right? Or well, not all over the world, but she goes to the other side of the world. At
Yeah,
least,
she goes
so.
quite far.
So yeah, and there's lots of running around and lots of unraveling mysteries and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good book.
Have you read any of her other books?
No, I haven't. I only read this one.
Okay, no, she has another book. She did one called Blood Ties, which is very similar
yeah.
about finding out who your family are. So I think that's one of her themes.
Yeah. I think
it's because she is, again, it's been a while since I read it. I think it's because she officially doesn't exist because of her.
Yeah.
And so they've got no official records of her, and so she's officially a missing person. That's what I recall. So I think it's that.
Was that the one where she was like illegally adopted or something?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like you might have read it.
I don't know. Is there another one later on called Sister Missing? Cause
Yeah.
I think I only read that one, but my sister's read them all, and I think she spoiled them.
Yeah.
There's a trilogy. There's Sister Missing and Missing Me as well, which I've not read. I've only read Girl Missing. So.
Right.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Beverly Naidu's journey
The Other Side of Truth.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of that one because they're trying to find, was it their father or their mother?
I can't remember, but refugees, aren't they? They've come over from
they
Nigeria, I believe.
They came like all by themselves, and they're trying to. It's also it kind of reminded me a bit about like traveling to find your parents. That's just like the connection I made.
Okay. Yeah.
There is, I don't know if any of you have heard of Jeanette Winterson, who's a very prolific author. She writes for both children and adults. First of all, she wrote for adults. But her breakout novel was Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, which is a story about growing up with quite a difficult mother. But I can't remember if she knew she was adopted. No, she didn't. She didn't know she was adopted until quite late, did she? Anyway, she was. This is a real case. She was adopted by this couple, and they were the last people who should have had adopted children. But anyway, so life was quite difficult for Jeanette, and also about her sexuality as well, which mother didn't approve of. Anyway, she actually managed to find her biological mother quite late in life, in her 50s, I think. So it was about making connections. She's got a whole family that she didn't know about, half brothers and sisters, and so she's got now this network, and she's written quite movingly about them, and how they connected, and yet also having grown up with this particularly difficult adoptive parents actually has made her the writer she is. So it's quite difficult in lots of ways, isn't it? It's quite a difficult series. So it's well worth. What's the name of her autobiography? Why Be Happy When You Can Be Normal? That's what her adoptive mother said to her. So it's quite similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really complex topic.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why she's written more than one book, Blood Ties.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, thanks, Esther. Thank you. Okay. Anyone?
Does anyone else want to me?
Oh, and Miss Huntley, and I'll talk about one as well. So that's all right if we have time.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we allowed to read?
Sorry?
Are we allowed to read?
Which mean are we allowed to read?
Like right now?
Well, we're talking and listening to each other. So
Yeah, it's probably a little bit rude to.
it's a bit rude to the speaker,
Yeah.
okay? Because you can read any time. We come to
Yeah.
Litsoc to share our ideas, don't we? Okay?
Okay.
You can leave early and go and read in the library if you want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
So I have the book with me, but it's a book by Rachel Wolf called 5 Nights.
Okay.
I didn't finish reading it yet, but it's a book about a cruise ship. So there's this family and her sister. She married a rich man in her 18s, I think.
Okay.
So, and then she invited her sister, who had a child, on a cruise ship. Later, they had some sort of secret. So later, she started getting these weird, like, messages through her door, which
Okay.
said that they know her secret, and I didn't read the rest yet.
See, it sounds very enigmatic.
Yeah,
That's
and
sort of like we know your secrets kind of thing.
yeah, and there.
Okay.
So I didn't find the blurb, but I.
Who was the author of this
There
one?
was-
Rachel Wolf,
Which Wolf? Sorry?
what's it called?
5 Nights.
5 Nights.
So like, and no, I don't try. I can't find the blurb. Oh, there. A powerful family, a luxury cruise, a killer on board. So that was like the
Oh, okay.
narrative of the book.
Intriguing setup.
Yeah.
How did you find out about this? Is this one that you just came across yourself, or
Yeah, we were in Sainsbury's and I just picked it
I saw
up.
in Sainsbury's?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've only read a little bit of it, you said?
Yeah, I've read about 40 pages.
Okay, well maybe this one you could read the rest over half term, and then
Yeah.
you can tell
Go
us
back and
more
do
about it.
some more, yeah.
Okay, but it's
That fits directly into our theme today, doesn't it?
absolutely it's a
Yeah.
very intriguing premise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there we go. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Samira.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to go next?
Yep.
Sorry, Annabelle, you are moving around a lot. We appreciate that.
Usually it's me.
Tell you what, you can go in here next, and I'll talk from here. So you move around.
I'm going to talk about Jane Eyre because this fits very well in with Girl Missing, although you might not think it. Jane Eyre is an orphan. This is orphan and an impoverished governess. She's an orphan first. So this is a rags to riches novel. So it's a Cinderella theme. But one of the things that Esther said about finding your identity, whether your blood relatives are more important than other people, and whether they should be, is a real interesting part, the second half of this book. So Jane is a child who is difficult. She can't stand her aunt, who she lives with, and the 3 children that her aunt has. And her parents are sadly dead. She really struggles to find a place in this family because she's always made to feel different. This is very Cinderella-like. Okay, she's not exactly supposed to scrub the fireplace or anything like that, but she's certainly made to feel very different, and she's bullied unmercifully. And one day she has a big fight with her male cousin, and all things go to pieces, and then she's sent to school, and school is dreadful. And she almost dies, as you would at a Victorian boarding school if it was so dreadful as this one, and it was a real place because that's where the Bronte sisters went, and people did die at Bronte sisters' school anyway. And then she goes to be a governess to Mr. Rochester, and there's all sorts of psychological things in there. So this is the psychological thriller aspect. However, there's a mystery behind Mr. Rochester and the house he lives in, Thornfield. And also, eventually, Jane discovers that her aunt's been keeping a big secret from her. I'm not going to tell you what the secret is, but it's a great psychological thriller. And Daphne du Maurier took this sort of theme of a young girl who is too young to know much apart from what she wants in life, and made it part of Rebecca. This is the 19th century book. And Jane Eyre was a very controversial novel because of the events that happen in it, and the fact that family was paramount for the Victorians, and Charlotte Bronte says basically, no, it's not necessarily what family is important, it's what you do with your life. And Jane is a very feisty character, so if you haven't read it, it is really good. I know it's a bit daunting because it's so large in terms of, but it's well worth it, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's one of the best books ever written.
One of the best books ever written. And Charlotte Bronte would be astonished to know what a place it has in women's rights.
Very influential.
What age group would you recommend?
I would say 13 plus.
So nearly.
Yeah, it's the only reason it's not what's in there. It's that some of the language is quite tricky. But we do have
we've got a
slightly
we got an abridged version. Yeah.
Yes,
which is
Sullivan's
a bit more accessible for
absolutely. If you want to try it before that,
because some of the themes that you talked about there, they're definitely very applicable to a young child, someone who's like 11, 12 years old. Definitely.
I mean, the first part of the book, and this is its genius. She doesn't start it when Jane goes to be a governess. She starts it right at the very beginning, and it really is psychological. A lot of the things, including the art that Jane creates, long before psychology was invented as a science, are all in this novel. Just a bit like Shakespeare talks about psychological elements long before psychology, Freud, etc., was invented, and we all know what we thought about him. But this is astonishing.
Yeah, she's a genius. I mean, obviously you got the other Bronte sisters too, and she wrote other novels too.
Yeah, she wrote other novels too.
But this is her masterpiece.
Absolutely. Yeah,
she's a genius, and we probably should do a Litsoc on her
so
as well.
It's definitely 100 best novels. Definitely. Yeah. Okay,
right.
You're going to stay there. Anna, just swap with me.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm going to talk for a few minutes because I'm sure Anna wants to explain what this is all about. I love psychological thrillers, Hannah. I love them. I think they're great. But what I like best, I could talk about quite a few of these. I like ones that got social commentary as well. And this is a very good example of that. I don't know if anyone's heard of this one, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And it's been adapted into I think it's on Amazon Prime, and it's got Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington as the two leads. Essentially, the title comes from a very affluent family living in what's it called? Very, very posh place in Ohio, which does have posh places. Their house is burnt down, and everyone suspects the youngest daughter is a bit of a tearaway rebel. And the fire brigade, when they came there, they said, well, we found little fires everywhere, suggesting this is deliberate, And so basically it starts with that, and then we find out, okay, how has this happened? So that family, they're a very posh family, and the mother, who's played by Reese Witherspoon, she's quite a sort of straight-laced, ambitious kind of person who, is a striver. She wants the best for her family, and she thinks that means, having a perfect, organised life and keeping up with the neighbours in suburban America. And things get upended when this kind of homeless, almost, mother and daughter show up, who are African-American. And she rents this house to them, and things essentially, there's lots of tension from the start, and as they interweave into their lives, then it gradually builds up to this big crescendo as to why the fire starts. So there's a lot of but there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of social commentary. It's about sort of like racial dynamics, and there's also a very prominent subplot involving a illegal immigrant Chinese lady who has lost her daughter because she was very poverty stricken. In a fit of desperation, because she thinks she can't support her daughter anymore, her baby daughter, she leaves her outside a fire station. But then they find out where her daughter is, and she happens to have been adopted by a very rich family who are good friends with the main family, and that leads to a sort of court battle and even more tension. And yeah, it all builds up to the fire. But of course, everyone thinks it's the tearaway youngest daughter, who incidentally forms a friendship with the African American mother. So yeah, classic thriller element plots. But it's like, okay, what's going on? How has this happened? And it all builds up to that. This is just, the social commentary is great, but the characterization, this is brilliant as well. There's lots of complex teenage characters. That's another reason why I wanted to talk about this. I mentioned the daughter of the African American single mother, but there's also the 4 teenage children of the very posh woman. There's lots of things going on there too. So yeah, got the book here, but yeah, like I said, the adaptation is on Amazon Prime too. Also worth watching.
Okay.
Samira?
What age group is it?
Again, probably a little bit older. I would say probably 14.
Won't be long.
But again, not long. Not long. All right, so there we go. Right, I'll hand you back to Annabelle now.
Okay, so I was thinking, use Scrabble tiles and Bananagrams tiles to make like a word grid that's themed, but you have it's basically play Scrabble but with more tiles, but without the board.
So is each player confined to 7 tiles or... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to make words, psychological.
It can.
words.
Should I do it on the board or will it not fit?
On the board, if you want to. It's your call.
Yeah, I might do it.
So you want to put the board on the table? Okay.
Yeah. But then we can use Bananagrams tiles as well. So
Yes. So we have plenty of tiles.
I'm liking Eton.
Eat.
I'm liking balls.
Eating cake.
Murder.
Right, Karis, can you explain the cake?
Murder is now backwards.
Because
But I love
in
that.
one of the books,
It's
the
psychological
friend
shit
and her friend was called Cake.
She was called Cake.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She was called
Whose
Kate.
friend was called? Oh, in
this,
that book. Yeah, purple book.
Yeah.
Tiger and
You
Kate.
mean to make friends in the dark?
I'm loving the backwards thing because you mentioned a movie that was backwards.
Oh,
Memento.
okay,
Oh,
fair
yeah.
enough.
So,
Fair enough, yeah.
so we have. I read a book called Signed, Sealed, Dead. So I wrote Dead Deal
Oh, okay. Yes.
because
I
it was
understand
it.
yes.
You added dead to my deal.
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's what we've been doing all along, right?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I just didn't notice. She was meant to be my teammate. You were meant to tell me that.
Oh, sorry about that, Liz.
As we got anarchic, we can't award merits for the words, I'm afraid.
Me and
Annabelle, what's the best word on it?
Yeah, what's the best word on
But
there?
maybe don't pick your own.
I
Yeah,
think
don't pick your own.
dead bodies. Or murder backwards. Murder backwards.
Yes!
is very
Yes!
good.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Who were the murder backwards? Right, okay.
Well done.
Merits awarded.
All right. So anything you want to say to wrap us up?
I'm just gonna say that psychological thrillers are really fun, and I feel like I feel like to read. I feel like there's something for everyone as well because it's such like a broad genre. Like I read one that was like really good because it was like really. It had a bit of everything.
Such as?
It's called 13 Minutes. Like it had romance, it had crime, it had thriller, it had everything. So I feel like it's really a genre that everyone can enjoy.
The one
Yeah.
about the girl who died.
Yeah, I recommend it.
No, My sister had it. I haven't read it. Can't be bothered.
Okay, probably needs to be in a particular mood, perhaps, but yes,
Maybe, yeah.
I take your point. All right, well, thanks, Emma. Should we give a round of applause? Thank you. Okay,
That was a lovely inventive game. Thank you.
absolutely.
Very imaginative.
Nice, so I guess just happy half term. Happy half term,
Happy
everyone.
half term, everybody.
Read
and
lots.
lots of reading.
Okay, bye.
Bye.